The best way to get better at programming is to practice. And in this example, we're going to take what we did in our last example where we print out a name, and we're going to move it so we're going to use a function prototype instead. As always, this file is available for download if you didn't have the previous example. So we'll give you just a couple of seconds to download it, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so let's get started. If we don't have a function prototype, we have to define our function before we can call it. The problem is with more and more complicated applications, what happens if you have functions that call functions that call functions? And sometimes one function might be called from multiple places. How do you know what order to put them in? It can get very confusing. Therefore, we have function prototypes. So often you see the main function first, and then our follow-up functions. And this is correct. If I come in here and then call print name, like we did before, everything seems to be okay. But when I go to compile it, notice it comes up and says there were errors. If I click on no, you'll see it comes with an error, print name identifier not found. And that's because it hasn't seen it yet. So that's why we use the function prototype. So I'm going to come up here on line 11. I'm going to create a very simple function prototype. It's simply my return type, my function name, and then my parameter list. Now, if I have parameters, and I don't in this case, but if I had parameters, all I have to do is define the data types. I don't have to give it its name. Finally, I'll end with a semicolon. Now if I go to run this file, because we've created this prototype, it knows what the function is supposed to look like. So when we call the function, it goes, oh, I already know about this. I can now call that function. Like I said, this is very useful for when you get more and more complicated applications where you have lots of functions and different functions are being called from different places, and trying to figure out what to put first may be nearly impossible. This also allows us to be able to use external files, something we'll be looking at later. If this example was helpful for you, please consider giving a like and check out the rest of the series to learn how to get better at programming in C and C++.